Okay, everyone, because I just love good information existing out there for people to find, I'm bringing you another video today. Well, you don't know how many videos I brought you because I haven't uploaded all of them, but they do take my time. That's a chunk of my life I'll never get back, but also you watching it, you're never going to get the time back, but you might be watching it to relax. So, natural limit and genetic potential and all that stuff. Especially with social media, there's this, this notion that came about that you can't make progress after a few years, that like you can't have big muscles without steroids, all sorts of stuff. I feel like my phone's a little bit crooked, but it doesn't look crooked. Like when I was younger, YouTube existed. I did actually watch Scooby 1961, I think it might be, a little bit. He said, I actually did not follow his advice because he said to bring like peas and stuff to school with you. I didn't like peas, I brought nuts to school with me. I watched some of his videos, but besides that, it was like I bought a bodybuilding book when I was like 10 years old or something. I read that to see what the exercises were. Like, a lat pull down gets your lats, curls get your biceps. When you're 10 years old, you don't know that stuff, and that was good to learn. But now everybody's got the internet, everybody's got YouTube, everybody knows that they can only make progress for like 3 years naturally, and then that's that. And you could never be a bodybuilder without steroids, and I don't know. When I was younger, steroids never crossed my mind. I heard about steroids, and later on I knew about them. But it's like the idea of taking steroids for bodybuilding, seriously, never came to my mind because I was doing great without steroids. The first time they came to my mind was when someone else that I went to school with suddenly was getting a lot bigger, and his muscles just seemed so much fuller than mine. Like, he always had a good pump, and I just couldn't mimic that look. And so I would go and do a ton of chest flies because I noticed his chest was pumping up and his biceps looked pretty pumped, so I would do extra curls. I was bigger than him, but I saw his pump, and I wanted to have pump like that. And later I found out that he was taking a workout supplement that he bought from a store, and it had methyltrianolone in it. It's like Tren. It was pretty strong stuff. But yeah, even with him taking that, I was still bigger than him, but yeah, he had a better pump than me, and he grew faster. But even at that point in time, it never occurred to me to take that also. It just didn't. I was in great shape. I made great progress. I would joke about taking steroids sometime because when I was younger, I maybe had some asthma, and I got a corticosteroid inhaler. So then that was the cool thing. I had my steroids. See, I'm taking steroids. Yeah, not anabolic steroids. But it never occurred to me to take steroids. It just occurred to me to work out more and harder. And yeah, people nowadays think that they can't get good results without steroids, and it's just not true. I mean, look at me right now. I'm a big guy. It's like, I was just recently thinking about this exact wording that someone used for me one time in the gym. Actually, I don't remember the exact wording, but he said, you're a thick boy or something. Not man, he said boy, I think. But thick is the right word because I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I'm a lot just bigger and thicker than most people. I don't tend to be super shredded. I value muscle mass more than shreds. It's probably why I've put on a lot of muscle mass, is because my goal is muscle mass. I've never been, well, except for like this last year I got fat. And actually a few years ago I got fat for a little while. But like I'm generally around the same body fat level like I am right now. Not super lean, not super fat. I've got this on my stomach. And like when I was younger, actually one guy kind of made fun of me, like, and I think maybe more than one made comments that like I don't have muscle, I just have fat, because a lot of guys were leaner than me and you could see their muscles better, and I was a lot bigger. You can tell I'm a big guy. And one guy's like, "You don't have a six-pack, you have a fat pack." But the bottom line is they all knew that I was the biggest, the strongest. That was, you can't debate that I was stronger because I lifted way more than them. I was benching 200 pounds for 3 reps when I was 14 years old. Well, I was also hurting myself doing that. So I didn't do 3 rep maxes for years and years after that. Good idea. I shouldn't have gone back to them recently. This video isn't about what I did in high school to build my foundation. Actually, I started working out before high school, like when I was 10 years old, but I made the most progress, I think, in high school when I hit puberty. Although going into high school, I already had really good muscles. So yeah, people don't realize that they can make really good progress, and they may go, but all the big guys are on steroids. Well, it's because most people who are really into working out are probably going to end up on steroids. And then with the young people, they think they can't get big without them, so they're never even going to reach their potential, and they're just going to take steroids after a couple of years. Lots of high schoolers even take steroids, especially now, I bet, versus like when I was in high school, like a few people I think were on steroids. Now I think it's a lot more common, especially with the SARMs and stuff. SARMs are just steroids with a different molecular structure. So yeah, just because you hit a little plateau for a couple months or a few months, don't be thinking you gotta hop on steroids. I thought that I hit about my genetic potential a couple years ago. Turned out I was just overtraining, and besides that, should have probably also needed to change my training style. So I stopped overtraining, changed my training style, started eating more, and I grew more. What a surprise that being in a calorie deficit, working out for 3 hours intensely, doesn't work too good. So yeah, stop thinking that you can't get big muscles without steroids. Yes, there are not that many people with big muscles who don't use steroids. Because so many people hopped on when they were young, and so many people, once they get older, hop on steroids. So just because most people who are big take steroids does not mean you need steroids to get big. It's like most people who are big wear tank tops sometimes. Doesn't mean that you can't be big without ever wearing a tank top. It's just correlation. It's not causation. Now, of course, steroids can make you bigger, but you don't need them to get big. And also, but you just have good genetics. You're not realizing that, like, for the normal people, we can't build muscle. Like, I don't have good genetics for muscle. I would love to say that, oh, I'm just genetically superior. My brain is genetically superior. My body, I'm a little tiny guy. I don't have something to measure, and you can't really tell on camera, but I've got really small little wrists. I've got really small little bones. I'm 5'7". I'm not a big guy. I've got narrow shoulders. If I were to have never worked out in my life, I would look pretty damn pathetic. I'm not one of these people who is just naturally built. Ironic. What I mean by that is some people, they can never touch weights in their life, just live a normal life, and they're walking around, they've got a good frame, they've got a good amount of muscle. That's not me. Now, I've got way more muscle than most of those people because I've been working out the majority of my life, and they haven't. So yeah, I don't buy this, oh, you just got better genetics stuff. I don't have good genetics for muscle. Most people don't know how to work out, and they don't know how to eat and sleep. It sounds like, oh no, what do you mean they don't know how to work out? Yeah, they don't know how to work out. There's a big difference between doing a curl and doing a curl. What do you mean? You did them exactly the same. Yeah, actually, I did do them exactly the same. But if you do the same thing, it's going to be a lot different than when I do it. Because I know how to do it and contract my muscles well, and use my muscles and get them to grow. You probably don't. Or maybe you do. But if you do, I don't know. Maybe. I watch videos like this even though I'm technically a pro bodybuilder. So yeah, maybe you do, but like the kids who think they can't gain muscle without steroids, they don't. And what do you mean you don't know how to eat? Well, most people, even when they think they're eating big, they're just eating big junk, not eating big protein. Now, perhaps I'm actually different in this regard, but if I don't eat at least a pound, and that's not very much, like I'm barely getting by, or 2 of like steak, chicken, fish, or whatever each day, I don't feel right. And also, I don't grow right. I eat more than I should of other stuff, but the reason why I don't eat as much other stuff like rice and potatoes and stuff is because when you're eating 2 pounds of meat a day, well, that's a lot of food, and you're not going to be as hungry or need as many calories from your rice and your potatoes and your whatever. So yeah, people eat a lot of food, and they mistake eating a lot of food for eating a lot of muscle building food. Yeah, you need carbohydrates, but number 1, you need protein. And you got people saying, oh, you only need like 1 gram per pound of body weight. I don't know, maybe that's enough. How much is in 2 pounds of chicken? I mean, not that I eat chicken every day, but yeah, I eat more than 1 gram per pound. I think that's like the minimum you should have, most likely. Now, I have gone through periods of life where I only had like 50 grams of protein per day. Yeah, I got by on that. I was not working out though, so there's that. So yeah, also you need to sleep. So many people like to stay up watching TV or playing video games. You gotta get to sleep. Try to get 9 hours of sleep. Oh, you're crazy. I can't get 9 hours. You can probably get 9 hours. Just put down your PlayStation, put down your Xbox, stop watching the anime, and get to bed. And make sure you sleep. Like, don't just lay in bed. Now, of course, if you got insomnia, that sucks. Try to avoid stimulants at nighttime. Try to avoid marijuana, even though people think that helps them with sleeping. It does not. Try to avoid, I generally figure that I gotta give myself 30 minutes more time than I have sleep cycle time in order to get the sleep cycles, because who knows how long I'll have to lay in bed. Figure out your sleep cycle time. What I mean by that is pay attention to when you fall asleep and when you wake up, and how that is different depending on how long you sleep and when you wake up in the middle of the night. Because obviously, if you just measure when you go to sleep, if you sleep through the whole night and you count when you wake up, that's great. If you do that on a weekend when you have plenty of time, now you know your ideal amount of sleep that your body will sleep if it has enough time. That's how much you should aim for every night. But if you aren't going to be able to get that, you need to find out what natural interval you wake up before that time. Typically, they're around an hour and a half intervals. That's what I go for myself, because I know that around 6 hours, around 7.5. Interestingly, for me, it's around 8.5, not generally 9. I don't know, maybe after my body gets a certain number of sleep cycles, it just cuts the last one short. But I do feel best with 8.5 hours of sleep, not 7.5, not 6, not 4.5. And if I am going to be low on sleep, and say I'm getting to like the 5.5 hours range where I can only get 5.5 hours of sleep, I typically will go, I may as well just get some more work done and aim for 4.5 hours, because I know if I sleep 5 hours, maybe in bed for 5 hours, I'll probably get 4.5 hours of sleep. But let's say I actually get 5 hours of sleep, I'm gonna feel worse than if I get 4.5 hours of sleep, because my body is initiating more sleep rather than initiating waking up. So yeah, you gotta get your sleep in check. And just hard work and consistency, just keep at it, keep learning your body, and just keep at it. If you think you need to hop on steroids, just wait 6 months or wait 3 months. Just wait a little while, and you'll certainly by 6 months you'll be like, whoa, I definitely didn't need steroids. Look how much bigger I got. And I know lots of people, I know someone right now who's on steroids, and despite already having a lot of muscle, I don't know if I've put on more muscle than he has in the last few months, being natural versus him on steroids. But in terms of strength increase, I think I might have beat him. But it's hard when you're already at an advanced level to make good progress. But it's because he didn't make that much progress. Because if you don't know how to work out and you take steroids, chances are you're not going to get results. Now, if I took steroids and I have a good genetic response to them and I know how to work out, I would get a good response. If you take steroids and you have a good genetic response but you don't know how to work out, who knows? Number one is your genetic response. But if you just have an average genetic response, it comes down to how well you know how to work out. So assuming you have an average genetic response to steroids, if you know how to work out, you'll get good results. If you don't know how to work out, you'll get bad results. What really determines whether you can be a IFBB top level pro bodybuilder is your genetic response to steroids. And your just genetic response to everything, I guess. I need to end it here. I've spent an hour making videos today. I'm a busy person. I'm in med school. I work out. I do MMA. I go for walks. I got a wife. I realize that you can do a lot more than people want to admit nowadays. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Check out the other videos. Check out my website, andrewhutchings.org. If you got tendinitis, check out my book on tendinitis. Go on Amazon, type in A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendinitis. Get the fastest shipping, get rid of your tendinitis, enjoy life again. My Instagram is natural_true_fitness.